Aiysha for Green Diamond Boxing. I'm here with Radio Rahim. How are you today? Very hot day.
The undisputed heavyweight championship of the world is on the line. How could I be anything but grand today? We're getting one day closer to the big show. And that, for me, is a good day.
Let's go back to the first one. Obviously, this is Usyk-Dubois 2, take 2. In the first one, can you just tell me what you thought of the fight? Just a bit of a summary of your thoughts on it.
I think it's a perfect fight to set the stage for a second fight. It's not definitive, depending on who you ask, and it's absolutely assured, depending on who you ask. There's enough controversy around it. There's enough that have evolved between the two fighters individually and against each other since the fight to create a great narrative. If it had happened immediately, I don't think it would be as intriguing as it is now. Obviously, Dubois wouldn't be champion. It wouldn't be an undisputed matchup. Dubois wouldn't have had as much time with his new trainer, not new anymore, but would have been new at the time. Don Charles has made such an impact on Daniel that he's a different fighter now. Everyone says it. He thinks of himself, Don Charles says, and a lot of the media is repeating that the first time Usyk fought Daniel the boy, and now he's fighting Daniel the man. Well, if that is in fact true, then we're looking at a wiser fighter. We're looking at a more technically sound fighter. We're looking at a fighter who has gelled with his trainer in a way that he hadn't in the first fight. Yet, he's also facing a more experienced, unified champion. A champion who has become undisputed since they first fought, who's fought Tyson Fury and beaten him twice now. So when people say, has Usyk gotten better? Well, if he hasn't, his peak must be absolutely extraordinary. Does he need to get better than that to beat Daniel Dubois? That's a question that has to be answered on Saturday, and only those two men can answer it.
From your perspective, was it a low blow? This is a question everyone was asking. There was quite split amongst the boxing world. What was your take on it? Yes or no, was it a low blow?
We've spoken about this at length, and I'll tell you that I couldn't see the navel on Usyk's belt line because it was covered by the trunks. The punch landed on the belt line of the trunks, which was covering the navel. By my estimation, and what I think is the agreed upon determining factor is whether or not a punch is above or below the navel. I believe, but we can't know because we couldn't see it, where the trunk line should be just below the navel, so we don't have this kind of controversy. But because it was covered, I think the punch landed probably squarely on the navel, so it's a judgment call, and the ref made that judgment call. It's no point in rehashing it at this stage because we get the fight again, but I thought the referee was not at a great vantage point at the moment to call whether or not it was a low blow. It landed on the belt line, and because the belt line traditionally lands below the belly button, which is a low blow, when the referee from behind the fight saw that the punch landed on the belt line, I think he just naturally assumed it was a low blow without actually having a good vantage point to make that call. And so here we are with controversy. I think Daniel has taken some confidence from that, and Usyk has taken some insult from that. Which one takes advantage of that emotion? We'll see Saturday night.
You've told me previously that you don't like to give a prediction for fights because we haven't seen people in the ring before, but we've seen these two in the ring before. So having seen what they've done, obviously they've come leaps and bounds from their first fight. Can you give me a prediction of what you think is going to happen on Saturday?
The fuller thought is that it's not because we haven't seen people in the ring before, but because on the night, the elements change. There's a reason we call this a sweet science. It's because it's a scientific experiment. And the first time, the elements were different than they are now. I just explained how different they have become. But I'll tell you what, if the rematch had happened the very next night, it would still be different elements than they were the night before. So much has happened. These people have changed. The environment is different. The location of the fight is different. The ages of them are different. Everything has changed except the men who are entering the ring, and who they have become in the sport has changed. Who they will become will be determined on Saturday night by how this scientific experiment comes together. These two forces, I can't predict and say that I know. I can only base it on what I've seen before. And because of what I've seen before, then I can make a case for either guy. When I don't know, I tend to go with youth. But when youth is matched with the kind of exacting skill and technical proficiency of Usyk, sometimes that can beat Father Time. So we'll have to see if Usyk can execute what he's capable of. That's where age comes into factor. If age makes it difficult for you to execute what you're capable of, that's when Father Time steps in. If you see the punch opening and can make the angle in your mind and then can't deliver the punch in time because age has lessened your reflex time, well, or increased, I should say, your reflex time, then that can be a determining factor. I think Usyk on paper, if he's peaking, it's got to be the favorite, and Daniel Dubois would have to upset him, but Daniel Dubois upset Anthony Joshua, so that is possible. We just don't know until we see it. There are many elements to be considered, and I think in this fight, the mentality of Dubois and what he believes is his fate and future comes into play, and the age of Usyk and what he's capable of doing as opposed to what his body will allow comes into play.
Usyk has beat our top heavyweights twice. He's beat Tyson twice, AJ twice. If he beats Daniel on Saturday, he would have beat him twice. Is that saying something about the level of our heavyweights in Britain?
It says something about Ukraine versus UK. You know, I mean, if you're putting it in that context, it's just that the UK is being dominated at the heavyweight level by a Ukrainian fighter, and that has to suck. Like, that is the last undisputed champion, but it was in the three-belt era, was Lennox Lewis. So they know what it is to be king of the walk. But even Lennox Lewis, when he was undisputed, really Mike Tyson was the generational great of the time. Everybody was a Tyson fan. He was a global star. He's still a global star. The proof is in the pudding. He just had 75 million viewers on Netflix just months ago. So there's not a really argument as to who the biggest star is. And Usyk really has denied this UK heavyweight division from becoming the biggest star. And I don't even think Lennox Lewis was the biggest star in his time. So maybe Daniel Dubois' age, if he can be the guy to take down the king and hold undisputed, then he becomes the first real undisputable heavyweight king of the UK, maybe ever.
If Usyk wins on Saturday, does he go down as a GOAT for you?
Let's see, because how he wins, what he does after that, and that's a tough one, because when you say GOAT, the first word is greatest. And for me, greatest is not necessarily best. It means that you have gone outside of the parameters of boxing. You have transcended the sport. Greatness encompasses so much more than boxing skill that Usyk would have to live a longer life for me to decide whether or not he's the greatest.
Radio Rahim, always great to catch up with you. Thank you so much for your time. I'll see you on Saturday.